Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. A content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.
Hello, and welcome to the 420 edition of Coffee with Den. It is I, Distant, and I'm here with Gravity Crab and T Swift or Die as typical, and we have special guests, Flo from the I always mispronounce this. Can you pronounce it for me? The Kanaloa Network.
Kanaloa Network, yeah.
Yeah, Kanaloa. How you doing, Flo?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
So, what makes this the 420 episode, by the way? Is it just the date?
I think it's the date. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like last week was the 4. What would it have been? The 413.
413.
Yeah. So I don't know if I announced that or not.
No, you've never done that. You never included the date.
Yeah.
I feel as though it may not have been coincidental.
Also, for people not in America, it's the 24 episode.
Oh yeah, it is the 24th episode. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
that's something that's so weird for us. If we look at dates, it's like there are not that many months in a year. It's like, oh no, you switched that around.
Not that many months. Like, oh, all right, shit, gotcha.
So the three of us that are normally here, we're in Florida. Flo, where are you located?
I'm in Zug, Switzerland.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's kind of coffee time there for you too.
Yeah, it's 3 a.m. 3 p.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For a second, I was like, no, it's not 3 a.m. Okay.
No, 3 a.m. would be
Yeah.
But that's if the evening shows are for me at like 3 a.m. So that's the flip there. If I live on like Eastern time, your place, then I go live at like 3 a.m. Stuff like that.
Oh God.
This is the you don't sleep part of the story. Yeah.
Not much, no.
So yeah, we've got a great show for you today, as they always say. The layer voting has ended, and we have winners to announce. We have new layers, and then we'll talk about whatever comes to mind, as we always do, depending on what people post on to Den and things like that. So let's jump right into. I just want to announce who won because I'm excited. Where's the button? There it is. Mining won finally, among other things. So whoever's been participating in the past week on voting for layers and things like that. Flo, I haven't told you a whole bunch about Den. I've walked you through it a little bit, but we vote on new layers every month. So we have a couple of categories, and for anybody else who's just joining and getting into Den, we have monthly contests where, unlike, for example, Reddit, where you can just go in and spin up a new subreddit anytime you want, there's a scarcity involved here, and you got to make sure there's enough people that want to talk about that one subject before you open it up. And then so we make it fun and gamify it with a contest.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we have two categories that we judge by. Total votes, which is the lore. That's a token we use on Den called layer ownership rights. You get it for free just by using the platform. You earn what we call matter, and then with that, you're auto-staking and earn lore. And you can use those to vote on stuff, and become an owner.
Okay. And
so you vote on it, and then we go, okay, we have winners by unique voters and winners by total votes. And in the past, we've done like, okay, the first two by unique number of voters will win, and then the number one by most votes. Even if it's like, 2 people and they want to put all their lore into it, fine, whatever. But we switched it up this month, because in the past we've learned that if you do that, the one that gets up to the top by unique voters, even if there's something else winning on the first category, by the time you get the unique voters pushing up to where this, for example, mining is going to win, everybody puts their lore into that one because they know it's going to win, because you want to be in the one that wins.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I see.
Because when it wins, this lore gets traded 1-for-1 for NFTs that let you give you ownership and passive income in that layer. So depending on how well that community does, you get rewards for being an owner. So what we get is people dump all their stuff into the one that's going to win, and then all of a sudden, the other category, which is by most votes, becomes the winner as well, just naturally, because of that sort of thing.
It motivates itself.
Yeah. So we were getting like the same one winning every time in both categories. So we said, okay, let's do this. Instead of doing it that way, we'll do the top one by unique voters, which this month was mining. Which we have a whole. This is cool because this is like there's a whole DAO around this mining layer, where the tokens, the lore swap to lot is going to go into. We're still figuring it out. I don't know if we're going to use the token, the lot, or a different token or what. But the mining layer is going to be a DAO that owns mining equipment and gets proceeds from how what it mines, basically, assuming it's profitable. So that's cool. And then we said, let's just reach down. Let's skip the top and go to number. It was 8 and 13. By
just take random numbers. Yeah.
That's but it shifted
one.
around a little bit on here. But what ended up winning was science and tech and everything tattoos. So that makes it to where it's less predictable, right?
That's great for me.
And so it moves around, and like you can't really predict, and you get people to at least look at the other ones instead of saying I'm only going to look at the top 5 because that's who's going to win. Now you get people thinking, okay, well actually anything might win. So let me see what else is down here. There's anime. There's 3D printing, there's what am I actually interested in, and what we're trying to incentivize is like looking for stuff you're actually into, and not just what might win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we've got everything tattoos, and we've got science and tech, which is interesting because we already have a science and space tech, and so this is like a competing science and tech layer, which is
I
cool.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, with different owners.
Tech is so wide.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we got, man. I had a bet or a wager that if tattoos and beer both won, that I would get a tattoo while drinking a beer on camera for Den. But beer didn't win. Where's beer? It got ranked higher, but it didn't hit the. It didn't hit the.
Yeah, it didn't hit the one.
Yeah. So cool.
Who did you have a bet with? Who is this bet with?
We have a Den
Joshua
call every Thursday with Den with everybody. So we have now Monday through Thursday, we have some sort of live show on Den every day, Monday through Thursday, and on Thursday, the last show of the week is the governance call, the Den.social meeting. It's not really a show; it's just a meeting for anybody who wants to participate in owning, governing, being in charge of like direction of Den, who wants to have say in that. We have an open meeting every Thursday for anybody to show up. And on that call, we were looking through the LCP, and we were looking at the moment, it was like tattoos and beer were in number 8 and 13 or whatever it was. And at that moment, I was like, oh, I love both of those things. So yeah, if you guys can make it to where those win, I'll go get a tattoo. And then then Joe was like, is it going to be a Den tattoo? I didn't say what kind. I'm not going to be crazy enough to let the internet choose my tattoo. Not my
I was just about. So
please don't do that.
We have a collection of monster NFTs, and I was messing with. I have a whole sleeve, and this will go all down the back, and will take in my leg and everything. And I was debating. I set my mind on using these monsters for either the leg sleeve or the back piece. Yeah. And I have, again, these are like 6 or 8 monsters we have, and these are all planet-sized monsters. So you can fill some space with that. And I was debating with myself which one I go first. That was like, should I offer a vote on which one should to go first? Because
especially I've been trying to sell flow on Den a little bit. With that, you could literally, if you had your own layer, you could use the DAO governance functions and say, hey, which one should I get first, and then people vote on it, and like that's it. Even people that don't know how to use crypto. So we're trying to make non-crypto blockchain. Even though it is all that stuff under the hood, people don't want to hear about that. They don't care. They just want, an app that works, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm trying to explain to the developers I'm working with. It's like that's all great, but now we have to package it in a way because the end user really, most of them don't care what actually is happening as long as it works and looks pretty, right? So.
John's got his own NFT collection that he started working on. I think you're up to 4 iterations right now. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
You should be actively working on that, like now.
I made a comic strip the other day. I'm waiting for inspiration to hit first, okay? I'm waiting for inspiration to hit first.
Okay. We might have a little bit of that today. Inspiration for comic strips.
But no, so you made a bet, but it wasn't with anybody. It was just like, if this happens, I'll do this. You can still just go get a tattoo.
I can.
There wasn't like if this happens, you get a tattoo, and if it doesn't happen, like
not allowed.
Somebody else gets. Yeah, you're never allowed to get a tattoo.
Well, that's why I don't have any tattoos. I don't have, this would have been my first tattoo, and so maybe that's what I've been doing is I've been setting the criteria way too specific.
Yeah.
About what has to happen before I get.
You sound like you're me, and you just don't want to get a tattoo, so you're just like making it such a high dice roll. Yeah. Also, it's Josh, right? Josho on Den is the guy who seems like he's mostly like you're getting a tattoo, right? He's in our comments right now. Actually, not in our comments, but he's in a comment on the post. Actually, the coffee post specifically.
Let's pull it up and see if we have much. Let me refresh here.
We have a little bit
to talk about. We started doing the community stuff first, so let's do that.
Like
that's our LCP winners. Let's talk about not tattoos. It's like instant segue. It's like, all right, and we're done with that conversation. So.
Emma, Carla, could you not meow at me right now?
Man. I made a mistake earlier when I first posted this. I thought that Bag Winners Unite was one of the winners, but I was wrong. So I had to go back and correct it. It was Science and Tech, which would have been funny because Bag Holders is like a hey, if you're being a crybaby about not like making more money in crypto by trading it than you are right now, and you want to blame the devs, go here. It's for all of you. It was like a sort of a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing, and all that. And I thought it won, which I was like, oh, that's great. I'll post there. I've got plenty of shit coins that I've lost on. But I'd be like, here's what happened when I tried to be like ape into this coin, and it's called.
So that's what happens when you have a mountain of coins that are just from something that was not ever profitable and they're just worthless, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way we can make those useful for something?
I have an idea for that.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, it's called, and it could happen. It could be in the real world, or it could be in the metaverse, or it could be both, ideally.
Ooh.
But I was thinking of
multi-dimensional
an arcade, the shitcoin arcade, where you just whatever coins you happen to have that are worthless, you can use it to play a game.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. So everybody who's lost out, who's a bag holder, the Bag Holder Cafe.
The Bag Holder Cafe.
The Cafe of Broken Dreams.
So thanks for the correction, actually.
I would like that, yeah.
And I've already
and
excellent.
And Dave said to me privately that if this happens, he's gonna get a tattoo of it. This was privately before the show. He was like, "Yeah, if Bag Holder Cafe takes off, I'm gonna tattoo of a shitty bag."
Yeah, but it didn't happen. So once again, I can't get a tattoo. I'm still gonna.
I would support Dave getting a tattoo of a bag of just nothing, just garbage coins.
Is there a term for that?
It's got to be like a bag of shit, though. It's got to be like
literally.
It's got like the little steam coming out of it and bugs flying around.
I'd feel bad voting for my buddy to get a shit bag tattoo, though. I'm fine with it.
We have to. When I was in the military, we had a habit of calling people lots of names. We had names for all kinds of people, and we would call each other dirt bags or shit bags if you were one. And we let people know so they could fix their shit. But then we had to be nicer one day. PR came down and said, all right, we're a newer, nicer Navy. You can't call people shit bags. That's offensive. So we were like, all right, you're right. That's bad. You are an earth sack. You have been promoted to earth sack. instead of dirtbag.
That's the whole point. I mean, you see that with
Sad.
kids. You see that with little kids. They are not allowed to swear, but then they just make up silly swear words. But the concept is still the same. If you want to insult someone, you find a way.
Psychologically, it's exactly the same thing. It's just a different word. They've made their own language.
Like if our division gets together and says, "Hey, look, from now on, the word sir means F you," right? So every time we're like, "Yes, sir," yes, sir.
Yeah,
then it's funny to everybody in the loop.
Yeah.
Like
someone says, "Sir, yes, sir," with an extra emphasis, and everybody busts out laughing.
Yes, sir.
That kind of thing. So what else do we got besides that? But yeah, thanks for the correction, Alexons. I tipped out a little bit more than I usually do on that because I was wrong, and I like being corrected. So thanks. No tattoo, I guess. This is Josh O. It was a good round anyway. Have a good show, guys. Yeah, I don't know. If I get a tattoo, I will put it on Den, and I know what I'm gonna get already. It's gonna be video games, man. Come on. What else?
It's gonna be video games.
What
man.
else would it be?
Come on.
I've got to get.
But which video games? Is it from?
I don't know which one I'm gonna get
the
first.
Boxes, right? Just like the old Nintendo cartridges.
See, that would be
the
sweet.
game itself with the game art.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Like one of those tribal wraps, but it's Nintendo cartridges.
No, it'll be
cool.
like.
That'd be kind of cool.
It could be like dragon scales, but the scales are cartridges. And they're just overlapped like roofing tiles or whatever. You know, what are those called?
Like
Shingles.
details with all the names of the old games, actually like the original cartridges and stuff
That's
like
a good
that.
tattoo idea.
Sounds like never getting laid again.
The magic of Den is that I'm going to cut this
my
part
God.
out that we talk about the tattoo, and I'm going to put it in the tattoo layer as a little clip. It's like, check out this idea for a Nintendo cartridge dragon scale tattoo idea. Can anybody draft this up for me?
See, now my wife's gonna try to get me to get the Nintendo cartridge sleeve because I talked about it. She's like, "Oh, you never want to get a tattoo." It's like, "Oh, well, now you've got one that's kind of cool." It's like, shit.
All right, what else we have? Special guest. That's you, Flo. So what do you do? You're with Kamanoa.
Kanaloa, yeah.
Kanaloa.
Yeah,
I don't know why I keep trying to say cabana, like it's a vacation or something.
Yeah, well, it's a god coming from the Cocos Islands in the Pacific, which is kind of holiday, man. Yeah, there's always summer there and stuff like that. So you're not that far off.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I do a lot of things, but mainly I'm the project manager of the Kanaloa network, and we are basically a tokenization tool and a coin that goes with it, and we just launched on testnet the first version, and what makes us kind of different is with our modules, so we're using the EIP 2535 standard.
Right, so you talked
standard.
about this a little bit on World Blockchain Roundtable. That's the one that allows smart contracts to bypass the payload limit,
contract
right?
size.
Or the contract size.
Yes, you can go. You can circumvent the contract size limits you have because we do all modular stuff, and you basically come in our store, buy whichever pieces you like to get, and put them together. And if something changes in your project later, or with the regulations, and you cannot do something anymore where you're located, or something that you couldn't do before, you can now do, and need to add something, whatever, or you need something specific that we think that we can use for other people as well, basically hit us up, and we build you a module that you then basically can add to. And at the moment we're like on the bare bones structure, but yeah, that's contract standard doesn't fit everything in one contract, but uses a proxy function and calls everything. And that's, again, how you circumvent a lot of the contract size limit, and you save a lot of gas fees. So deployment can save you up to 90% in gas.
That resonates too. I love that you're doing that, because I think more people should look at what there's a lot of really, really good projects that do what they're doing really well. But I don't think there's enough people looking at what a business owner really, like, a business needs to be able to pivot, like you're talking about. The cool thing about blockchain is that it's permanent and it's in place, but like if you need flexibility that isn't there's not enough people building the flexibility. There's enough people, there's permanence and there's finality and there's security in that, but the flexibility is important too to be able to do business.
And the good thing is the permanence of blockchain doesn't get attacked because all those calls, all those changes, all those exchanges of module, it all gets documented. And in our case, basically, it's governed by a DAO in the end. So you basically can have your cake and eat it too. You can have a flexible module, a flexible contract. So your project is adoptable. So your devs do not have to renounce the contract and can change stuff. And at the same time, a lot of us ended up in crypto because we don't trust banks. And now if you go into big projects, they all have open contracts because they need to be adaptable because they're businesses, right? But now you have to trust a few guys that they basically do what they say they're doing or not have a mental breakdown or whatever, right? And
right,
with
or go on vacation and disappear and have the keys.
I mean, there was one guy like in
Never come back.
2015 that drained,
Canadian
drowned
exchange, right?
outside of some Dutch guy.
Oh,
It was like an European guy that went out of a boating trip and never came back. It was like,
the thing with that is like everybody jokes about losing their Bitcoin in a boating accident, and now everybody's like, did he though? Or did he?
it's like,
you know?
Did he actually, or is he just somewhere
I
living
think
large?
that other guy, I'm not sure. I would have to look it up. But I think that other guy, that European guy, got basically ended up ashore like 3 weeks later.
Oh.
So they found them bloated. So they found the body. So they know he's dead.
Okay.
And that's why, like, wait a minute, he's the only one who has the access to this. It's like,
yeah, and now you have this empire that's been built around one person having, you know.
And that's what we all try, decentralization and stuff like that. So, and with our system, a DAO governs it, so you don't have to trust the devs, but you are still adaptable to whatever comes in the future. And I come from startup consulting, so that what the business needs perspective was something we had clearly in mind. So.
That's what I like. Networks that are built from the ground up with that perspective are really interesting to me. So that's cool. You're also a fan, as I am, as dystopian science fiction novels and things like that.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And you sent me an example of some of your work, and I wanted to show it off a little bit, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, that's the other thing I did. I wrote a comic book, and I think we were the first ever NFT comic book. So I was lucky to meet some people that worked for Marvel before, like collection cards and stuff like that. And from there, a friendship developed, and then I was able to basically write the book, and those guys drew it up, colored it, and everything.
That's great. I've got it pulled up. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the cover itself is even cool. Let me change the shape so we can see the whole thing on the screen here, if I'm able to. There we go. There's your comic book cover. It's called Skipped. And I've read through this, and it's a great story. Do you mind if I summarize it? Interpretation?
Go for it. That's always interesting for me, what other people think. That's
cool. Yeah. It's not going to be what you wrote. It's going to be what I read.
yeah, exactly.
So, what I think is one of the themes that I think is important in probably any dystopian sci-fi that is something like, I compare, like the gold standards, like, a Neuromancer or a Snow Crash or things like that, is that there aren't really any good guys. There's just worse bad guys or less worse bad guys. You know what I mean? So here you've got a crew of who's arguably the protagonist, but they live in a world that's similar to like Snow Crash, where everything is corporate owned. You got 5 corporations that own everything, and they're basically governments, and they interact like governments. And this team on the cover has a deal to basically operate under one of the companies on their territory without interference, and then that goes awry because they are doing a bunch of research. They find something that's very valuable, and they can sell it and make money, but then greed comes in, and of course the people that you have to deal with want to be the sole owner of what you found, and a thing breaks out with the story where it opens up with these people, and at least 2 of the other families get involved, and you go through this whole discovery process. It's like an origin story where, as you read, you're learning what the world is like. You're learning about the different characters. Some people that you thought were like a cool person might be kind of an asshole, but they're still the good guy. And at the end, I won't give it away, but you get an wide open, I will say a wide open canvas to go any direction you want. You start out with a very fixed world. The world works in this way. It's what, 22 something is the year?
Yeah, 22. It's around 20. Projected at around 250 years from now.
Yeah. So you start out in a kind of a snapshot of a dystopian future that I consider dystopian anyway. And then you kind of
it's dystopian.
And so the book cracks that open and makes it to where, okay, I don't know what's going to happen next, right? You start out with kind of rigidity and like, here's the rules and you have to operate under these rules. And at the end, it's like, wow, these guys can go anywhere now. They can do whatever they want. Maybe they can be a family. Maybe they are now. Maybe they're one of the big five and somebody goes down. So,
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, they level up. They become more badass. And
they level up.
Yeah. I'm still not sure if I understand what the particular drug does. That was
that wasn't I have like a plan for that, but it's not explored yet so far. So that makes sense that it's
so they find actually I think it's this plant on the cover and I didn't notice that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they come up with this plant that they bred and engineered that is very special, and it provides something that is valuable. And so everything's around that plant. Which is cool.
Yeah. Basically, to summarize that part a bit, the title comes from there, and the plant is based on a real plant here on Earth. So if you're a little bit familiar with biology and stuff like that, you might figure that out. And it's the dot on the dystopian thing. It's used as the base for a drug that most of the working class uses. Because it basically lets you skip your day. You take it and you miss out. You basically forget, because it's so pointless to, you're working 18 hours a day, you go home to sleep.
Yeah.
And basically the sky is always gray. My story is always at night. So people basically don't want to experience that, so they skip it. Right.
Okay.
And those 5 families, they support that because it keeps the working class calm, and so they
and all that
pacifies
people.
It
pacifies people, and that's why they have like these groups in all, and that actively produce that, and they start messing with it and find something else in there, which then changes everything.
I thought it was I knew it was something like that, because like I didn't know if it was a productivity enhancer, where like a lot of stories use that. It sounds a little bit like Adam Sandler's Click. Have you seen Click?
Oh God.
That's like the worst. I saw that. It's like,
how
he skips his day with he has a remote control, like a TV remote. And he's able to fast forward through his day. He's like, this is boring. Let me get through it. Yeah.
All right, it gets a pass.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
John has abandoned
great
ship.
I have to say I was inspired for how the drug functions based on a Vice documentary I saw like 10 years ago about how people get robbed in South America. And there are people that walk with the robbers, walk into their apartments and clean out their apartments, and wake up naked 3 days later somewhere in a park, and come home to their concierge and ask them. The guy looks in the camera and straight face tells the stories, like, and ask the concierge, like, dude, what the fuck happened? I said, you're still living here? You moved out, help these other guys move all your stuff into that truck.
Wow. It's like, so they came in basically with
a zombie drug. And this is like I then took this and tuned it up by then. So this was in the story is not reality, but it's based on that. So that was kind of, that shocked me. Like, it's like, because it takes away all control. And these people still, they aren't unconscious.
You're susceptible for like, hey, we're going to go remove, help me move. I'm helping you move.
Yes.
I'm helping
You
you
want to
move
give
out.
me
Let's
your
go.
stuff. Yeah,
I have the
want to
moving
give you-
truck right here. It says
Oh,
Pinsk.
that's right. That's what I'm doing today. Oh God, no!
Oh, it's
I don't like
terrifying.
that at all. I don't like that at all.
That was like super scary to me because
Oh,
self-control is something I kind of like. So
Yeah, no
that
shit.
was the dystopian input from that.
Yeah, I didn't have that. I read it blind basically.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
had
now
to-
I'm terrified.
I'm super happy because you found or you saw some real details I put in that were much more basically for me, but that you
okay.
now picked up. So I was
Gotcha.
like, oh, it comes across like I had in mind. So that's
Yeah.
like
It is very well. Who's the who did the art? Who's this?
Don Mark
Yeah, okay.
Nokeda.
I would say this is beautifully drawn.
Yeah, he does like commissioned work. He does a few of like indie comics, and he does like the collection card sets for Marvel Comics. And
That's
the
fantastic.
colorist that did the colors for him is like a school buddy of his. So they have a close relationship and can work greatly together and stuff like that. So
Yeah, this is great. Cool. Well, thanks for talking about that a little bit.
I drew a comic the other day and I was trying to find it. It's on my iPad.
oh, that's so cool. Yeah, you have to show me that.
No, it's awful. It's a.
Oh, this is John.
We've been
It's
teaching
very-
John about NFTs. So I showed John the Ether Rocks. He wanted to know about NFTs and what they were selling for and what they look like and what's the value there. And I was like, oh, I'll just show you. So here's an Ether Rock. And it's sold for $400,000.
$400,000 stone.
You're responsible why I have to explain like half an hour and I say I do NFTs. No, not like that.
Not like
No,
that.
don't do that. I promise.
Yeah, yep. Well, that's what I say. Like with Den, we do NFTs, of course, because that's how you prove who owns the layer and who has voting rights and who gets the payouts and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
But not one of them has a piece of art. Well, there is artwork actually. What does it look like? It is on OpenSea. So
Dave and I have a mutual friend, Dom. Okay. When I talked to him a while back, I was telling him some of the stuff we're doing, and he was like, "Hey, at least you're not selling NFTs." And I was like, "Sort of, but not like that." So you got to do that thing and be like, "I promise it's not that."
yeah.
It's the same when people ask, "Oh, Connor, on which chain are you?" And we're like, "On BSC." It's like, we are still on BSC. We will go soon. It's like- so yeah.
Are you using BSC for your NFTs or for
the NFT, the NFTs that we were doing, as well as for the Kana, the skipped NFTs, they're all an Avalanche, and Reef Chain and Avalanche are like our next targets to move to. So.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard a lot of. I've never used Avalanche, but I've heard everybody that I know who has used it has some sort of good things to say about it. I was trying to see. I guess there are variations in our artwork. It isn't like that's not.
They're
what
just
the focus
different
is.
colors.
They're just there for utility. Well, they're like, look at these two red ones. Those are different. I don't know why, but they're different.
Yeah, is that on purpose?
Yeah. Well, there's things we got to do still. Like, we have to identify one of the issues, and I was actually talking about this yesterday. One of the issues on Den is that we have two distinct different types of layers. One of them is the LCP layer, and one of them is a B2B or a business layer, right? And the difference is, whenever you, like what we were just talking about with the everything tattoos, for example, these 711,000 lore will be, you can think of it as being burned and replaced one for one with these tokens that end up over on OpenSea on Ethereum. So we'll mint 700 and however many, what did I say? 711,000 NFTs. And they'll be in Den, but they'll also be represented on Ethereum. But the important thing is that there'll never be more than 710 or 710.9 thousand NFTs for tattoo layers, for everything tattoos, because it went through this community vote thing, right? Now, what you can also do is what we were kind of talking a little bit with Flo earlier about with the flexibility and the business use cases and things like that. You can do what I did with the Gainesville layer, and this is what caused a bit of confusion during one of our workshops recently, is you can go and just buy a layer, right? As a business, you can approach
Oh God, that's
Den.social.
still there.
It's still up there, yeah. I thought about moving it, but Caitlin said she liked it, and I said fine. If somebody hates it, they can figure out how to put up a governance proposal to change
That's a good
it. That's
point.
an excellent.
We'll keep the GNU.
Yeah.
A training exercise.
Yeah. So what I've done is I opened up the Gainesville layer and I minted. At first it was 100,000 lot, but then I had a reason that I needed to mint more later, so I minted 100,000 more. And in the beginning, I have them all, but what I'm doing is I'm distributing them based on what? Based on attendance and community support. So anybody who comes out to the events that we're doing, we give them one of these NFTs for free, and they all end up in this list and they get to vote on stuff. So this is like, the difference is you can make more and you can centralize authority if that's what you want to do. So yeah, options. Like maybe your business is built around fascism. I don't know. you want to install that system of government in the layer to see how it works? Fine, let's do it.
Go for it. Why not?
But that doesn't affect the rest of the platform. You know what I mean? That doesn't affect like who can vote in the art layer, for example, right? The art layer was an LCP. It will only ever have 8.7 million NFTs that the owners have, and they're all sorted by, in order of who owns the most to the least. So even Joe Dragon, the CEO of Dragon Chain and the architect who started all of this, doesn't have as much voting weight as cryptocurrent in the art layer, for that reason, and would have to just buy some from another person. Can't mint anymore. So just wanted to mention that since somebody was confused about it recently, and I thought it was important to point out that there's a difference. So yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
All right. What do we got here? Yay, 400K signaled in the mining layer. Yup, that's gonna be fun.
I forgot that at some point in the past I gave 202, just not 1,000, just 202 to the mining layer. So I own like the tiniest sliver of it. Forgot about that.
I own almost 0.5%.
Oh,
damn.
Fantastic. Well,
with
even
10K.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. There's even with one single lot, you get utility because you can now edit your posts for free. Right now, because all edits are on chain, all posts and edits and reply are on chain to Ethereum and to Bitcoin proven and DragonNet. They all have a cost associated with them in the scarcity model, and so it's like the longer you take to edit. If you want to edit something right away after you post it, it's free. But if you come back in 2 days and you want to edit something, it like costs more energy, unless you're one of the owners. So if you have even one of the tokens, you can get free edits, which is cool.
That makes sense.
Here's a really good question from Vidwadi that's questioning the 8 and 13. I think it's important. Let's read it. Is it fair that 8 and 13th position layers are created and other top position layers are pending? In place of making a system simple and smooth, you guys are making it typical for users. Only a scientist mind can understand the methods on Den.social. I've heard that before, actually. You're not the first one. So that's a fair argument. You guys are moving away from large masses. After working in offices throughout the day, people check their social media for fun and to relax. They don't want anything where they have to do the brainstorming. So please, in place of applying mathematical permutation and combination, apply simple methods in your system. That's great. I think that like I'll definitely I want to tip this person out and say thank you for the feedback, because it's great to have that feedback. Oh, if I can spell it. Here we go. Thank you for the feedback. These are important conversations to have, and I believe that honestly.
We went
Yeah,
on
that's
nice.
always the basically breaching the gap between making it as simple as possible for the user and also making it safe and not manipulable. Like again, like we had before, that because you also mentioned reasonable points why then people, instead of actually voting, you vote where basically they can earn money, and you can't fault them for that. But at the same time, the content quality over a longer time starts dropping because people no longer actually vote what they want to see, right? So yeah, that's like always interesting to see the different perspectives of people that people have.
What I think and I think this is very compatible with this comment, is that on the right, we've got a bunch of stuff you can do, right? But there's some of this stuff that's like you really don't need to care if you're just a casual user getting off of work and want to kick back. I think we should take maybe even, well, not that. So the home button, they don't have words by them anymore, but this is your home button. This is where you'll see all the different layers you're subscribed to if you want to go find a certain community. This is your notifications, and this is chat, right? Below this, maybe there's a line, or maybe there's just a drop down like advanced options. So you hide everything else, right? Because the point of confusion often is there's a wallet. Now you got like, look at, what account am I on? Look at this wallet, right? If I go in as a normal user and I don't know about crypto, right? I'm just on a social media site and I click on the wallet. I go through and I've got energy, I've got matter, I've got lore, I've got pending snapshotted farm lore, which is in a different pile. I've got certain amount of NFT lot balances if I've been participating, you know what I mean? And this account has been throwing in lore on the different, contests and winning some of them, so it has quite a few. Okay, so that's not self-explanatory if you don't already know what all these numbers and acronyms mean, which is one reason I think it should be hidden from like normal interface if we want everyday normal users. And the same thing, honestly, I know governance is a huge part of this, but if somebody's not wanting to get involved with, if the LCP is confusing and they don't understand the platform, maybe then governance and LCP should both be in an advanced tab, right? Basically saying, okay, here's stuff you don't have to care about, but let's say you're a creator and you want to get involved as a content creator for a certain subject. Now you're thinking about how this works under the hood. So
I'm just thinking. I mean, YouTube. I'm just thinking about YouTube get dumped on a lot for the user interface, and it's horrible, especially on the creator part. That's something I've learned and I've seen myself. But that's maybe something again that you make a creator section that houses all these parts, so that I, as a normal user, I just see creator section. No, I don't care about that, and so I don't see it, I don't use it, it doesn't confuse me and stuff like that. And on the other side, if I am a creator, I go onto the site and see creators like, oh, that's where I need to go to figure out what I need to do and stuff like that. So,
I think that's the beginning of this. We rolled the roles of a denizen. What was it called? Advertisement or a little demo or whatever. Right now, all of these roles have the tools all dumped in the same interface, right? So as a content consumer on the right, that's who this person is talking about, I think, primarily, is somebody who might not even have an account. They just want to come in and see what's hot on Den. Of course, if you have an account, you can weed out the things you're not interested in and have your home screen only display the things you care about. But then the rest of the stuff, like, so consumers and evaluators probably don't care about the LCP, and they probably don't care about a lot of the things that we have. But the layer owners and the content creators would. So that could be your two halves of the interface. You could have, evaluator consumer, and maybe you don't call them that, but functionally we could have
yeah, absolutely.
Creators owners have the advanced section or whatever, that kind of thing. So I guess it's whichever role that you're thinking of, and maybe most people do all of the roles at the same time. Like I post.
Yeah, I think it's a growing process as well. That's like something, again, I started as a YouTube user 15 years ago or something like that, and 10 years or 8 years ago I started making gaming videos, and then I dropped out and I got in again and stuff like that. But it wasn't like I came onto YouTube and was like, okay, I'm now going to be a full-time YouTuber or something.
Right.
That's like 1% of all users or stuff like that. It's a growing process, right? And if the platform is inviting me, then chances are high that I start maybe as a content consumer and then grow into all the other parts, or I start as a content creator and grow the other. I mean, that can go in from all. I like that kind of way, because it can grow from everywhere to everywhere rather easily.
Yeah, I agree. So cool. Thanks for. I want to get back to where I was so I can pick up my spot. I always move around on my tabs and then forget where I was.
So, to interject on that one here real quick,
Sure.
hang on. I think their main question is, why the hell did 8 and 13 win?
Right.
Which I agree, again, like we had a tangent about this last week.
Yeah.
I still fully think that is not, no.
Well, it wasn't even a tangent. It was a full on like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
which is a common response. Well, what the fuck we're doing is trying to make the same one not win both categories, basically. Yeah. And we're trying to make it not able to be gamed by people who happen to have the most tokens.
Yeah, but then people that sit there and have spent a lot of time trying to chug one layer up, then now they're like, oh, you don't get a chance this time because it's going to be a couple of random numbers that win.
That's only in one category, though, because you still have the other category, which is by unique voters, where the number one does win.
Right.
So you still can get, if you have the most people who want to do mining, 72 in this case, you will win. So you can push the numbers up. And the reason I think that's better than the top by lore or by votes is literally because 72 people are more valuable than 15 people. Like, that's my whole argument there, I guess.
I can see
like,
the
if
logic
you want to
of
have
that.
if you want to have a layer created, you just don't want it to be
and I mean, that's why you have a two separate parts of governance. I mean, most government have that. You have one vote that's considered about how much people actually live in your state or region or whatever. And then every state or region or whatever gets like 2 votes or 3 votes or whatever. And then some decisions have to be one-sided. Some decision have both has to work. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Again, if you have like, from a government perspective, if you have like a big city and same here, if you have 72 people wanting to do mining, it kind of makes sense that wins. Even if
that's actually, not that this is related, but I guess it is related a little bit, is how we do our Den.social governance. Is we have the 3 board members, and each board member is made up of maybe thousands of people, right? The founder is whoever holds the lot in the Den.social layer, right? That's 1 vote. This is like the creators of the platform. But the other 2 votes are everybody else on the platform get 2-to-1 votes against the founder. And that's even split out into, different subcategories. So there's representation of everyone in the government of Den.social, but they're categorized and they're weighted by behavior, which I haven't seen done before. I think that's one neat thing that Den's doing that nobody else is doing, is we're actually doing DAO governance voting weight by not how many tokens you hold, but your behavior on the platform. Like, literally judged by your peers, all the voting and evaluation and stuff gives you a reputation score, and all of that combined with like
are you saying Den has like the China social score?
Without
No.
So yeah, this is the magic about blockchain, right? Is I have my fundamental problem with a company like Facebook is that they have identified value in local communities that nobody has figured out how to extract and monetize before. And they figured out, if you create a place where everyone willingly gives you all their data, you can mine that for profit. You're mining data, and then you're selling access to what you know about people's personally identifiable information to advertisers, and then the people who provided you with that data get no reward. They get nothing. So it isn't even the selling the data part that I'm pissed about. It's the literally like reinventing slave labor, where you have people working for you and providing and building and all of the value that's on your entire platform, even though you created maybe the infrastructure for it, all the creative value is done by people for free for you to profit from and sell to advertisers.
Are we segueing into the evils of social media?
No, I'm saying that's what I have a problem with Facebook, and what Den uses blockchain to do is essentially the same damn thing, right? Without anyone's personal information actually attached to what they're doing on the site. We take an email address, which I don't care if it's, Gorilla Mail or some like Tor-based email. I don't care. We got to contact you for customer support, and that's it.
10-minute email.
Maybe you don't have to, but maybe if you want to pull matter that you've earned out of the platform, then you claim, you don't give up your private keys or anything. You just claim an Ethereum address, and that's it, right? Everything else is on chain. All activity, all votes, all evaluations of people voting up or down on content and stuff, all of it's on chain without identifying like personal information, and we're able to use that to govern the platform, and we're able to use that even to monetize for people, but they still own their content, and the money just goes back to them. It goes to the people that created it. I think Den takes 5% off for the whole thing, maybe 10, something like that if it's advertising, but like boosted posts and stuff. But I think what we do is we just try to invert that and capture the value locally, but keep it locally instead of siphoning it off to some corporation that owns 1/5 of the city or something.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's a way to like tokenize what Facebook has figured out how to mine for profit, and we tokenize it in a token called Matter, and you get paid out based on your daily participation on the platform in your evaluation role, which gets paid, your creator role, which typically gets paid more because that's what people are evaluating, and then eventually actually participating in governance itself, I think, should be incentivized with rewards too. And then everybody.
I do too. We talked about that recently, and I think that that's actually a great idea, like incentivizing voting, incentivizing actually doing governance proposals, getting people to use the tools more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So
can we launch into a social media segue?
So we can now, yeah.
Okay. All right, listen, I just want to roll into some good old coffee with Den tangent craziness for a moment here.
If you do that,
my
I'm
friend,
gonna scroll my homepage.
Dude, scroll, have fun. Okay, has anybody here but me taken the time to watch a lovely little thing called The Social Dilemma?
Ah. I haven't seen
Not yet. That's the Netflix documentary.
The Netflix one, Tristan Harris is doing a thing. It was doing a thing about it. So everybody gets told, Facebook's harvesting your data and they're selling it and they're making money off of it. Like they're not even just selling your data. They're taking it's the point that's made is like never in the history of humanity have 50 people sitting in front of keyboards been able to influence the way that 2 billion people think. That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck making money off advertisers. Like, screw it being a thing about, they're harvesting my data so they can show me what type of, pipe I'm going to buy for the next time it's 420. Screw that. Who cares if they're doing that? They're sitting there and taking facts that aren't real facts, and they're being pumped into an algorithm. And this algorithm has no moral compass whatsoever and has no checks and balances by human beings for the most part. And it just sees, this person over here, they like the flat earth theory. Maybe they'll think that this thing about vaccines is real. And then we start just building these communities of people who have no idea how to get real news, right? The moment that Facebook became a thing on phones, you can literally watch the 2 major political parties in this country just divide. And it's because one side thinks that everybody should be seeing the facts that they're seeing, and the other side thinks this. And it's because they're both seeing a specifically tailored to their brains set of facts. And by the time they get done with it a year or 2 in, they're not even the same person because they've been reprogrammed like a computer node, which is insane.
We figured out how to program people. Yeah.
We really have, and it's terrifying. It's not like, could you imagine? It's like the example is made. Could you imagine how much the value of saying, "Give me X amount of dollars and I'll change the world 1% in whatever direction you want"? That's a shitload of people. It's
yep. And
so,
the same thing is.
Oh, go ahead.
Same thing is if something happens I don't want people to see. They own the internet.
They do. They really do. They can say you can't see this.
And then things are gone. And I mean, we know that from Google, specifically here in Switzerland, because on the one side, Switzerland had that cheese thing, not only with the cheese, but also with our mountains. We made like a shit ton of holes in them because our plan for what... can I say it? The nuclear fallout plan for our country was we need to have nuclear fallout bunkers for every citizen in Switzerland, right? Okay. And that was like the plan for 50 years, and then we've kind of figured out, yeah, that's kind of not the way to do. But now we have like mountains with a shit ton of holes in them that are basically nuke proof, right? And what do you do with that? You sell it. And who wants to buy stuff like that, or who wants to rent stuff like that? It's constantly 10 degrees Celsius in there. So you have a constantly naturally climated rooms that can withstand a nuke. It's a perfect server room. So a lot of these Apple and Google specifically have a lot of their servers in Swiss mountains, right? Because for those reasons. And we worked with startups, and we know from startups that if you basically try to do what Brave did and stuff like that, you just don't get server space.
Yeah, and it's weird. I've seen that a little bit too. It's just like, especially if you're like I don't want to say what's the word, a disruptive technology. Right? If you're building something disruptive that obsoletes an entire legacy business model, you're gonna get pushback from places you did not expect, because you're gonna start seeing. I don't want to go off my own tangent, but you're gonna start seeing where the strings are pulled and what cookie jars the fingers are in, because you start getting pushback from people that's like out of nowhere, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm creating a system that makes it harder to lie and cheat about anything by default. Why are you against this? Yeah. Who are the lobbyists? What position are you getting after you retire from the government, and why? You start asking all these questions when you desperately want to be a force for good and a good person and improve the world. You just have to question the motives of pushback and where it comes from. You know what I mean? It's like you're against fairness. What are you against? That kind of thing. Trying to pick it apart.
Most of them are against them making less money or them having less control.
Money is the end of the day bottom line.
It's like, and yeah, that's something we see, and I know, and I remember that. Again, I think it was like 10 years ago when Google introduced that, and and I was basically an idiot that bought that and welcomed that like from the beginning, but then realized it later that this personalized Google, basically that Google is now personalized, that the search results fit your previous search results and stuff like that. Like that was sold as an optimization, but what it actually means is selective reality. Meaning, if I ask Google something, I will get different answers than if you ask Google something. And then the age-old question of who watches the Watchmen comes up, because something or someone decided which news I get and which news you get, right?
A fantastic.
Go ahead.
A fantastic example is something that I tried. Actually, I was talking to because I'm insane about this now. I was talking to my family about this on Easter, and honestly, they didn't seem pissed about that. That was great. So, talking to them on Easter about it, and I was given the example of you can search something in one location and receive a completely different result than somewhere else. That shouldn't be a thing, okay? And I tried this. I tried this by doing Google, and then I went ahead and used something like DuckDuckGo, and also I tried VPN laptop, So essentially, I live in Florida. I searched in Florida, climate change is, and I got climate change is changing babies in the womb.
Well, okay. I mean, that's just an AI mistake with predicting what you're trying to search for.
No, it's not. It's literally looking at the brains of people around. So then I tried it. Okay. Then I tried it from, let's say, California. That's where I tried it from. And I got climate change is the greatest threat to humanity. So these are just totally different scales of information that people are getting depending on what they type in. And that's wild.
And the nature of information should be neutral. It shouldn't have an agenda, and that's something I personally was hailing the internet for, because I was like, okay, and AI, because now we have a technology that it doesn't have an AI shouldn't have an agenda. What my naive brain, when I was 16, didn't realize is somebody has to make that AI.
Yep. Somebody with an agenda made that AI.
So that,
and
exactly.
an AI is just a computer program with persuasion or with suggestion built in.
Exactly. And I mean, the weirdest thing is, and that was the explanation of the Google engineers for it, why this happened. So Google Earth has like this zoom function, right? You can zoom out and zoom in like into space and into into
cool stuff.
And that's an AI calculating these flowing pictures because you don't have like a picture of every height of the planet, right? And then they figured out, wait a minute, this AI is faster in calculating these things than it should be. Then like the calculating power, the physical calculating power allows it. So how is this possible? Well, turns out the AI realized that it can save information within the pictures, but it's basically it's not supposed to do that. So what did it do? It saved all the information it needed to basically up its RAM. So I'm not a tech engineer, so
it made like a cache or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, within the picture in a color spectrum that's invisible to the human eye.
So it tagged these like sort of Facebook's pixel, where they have
tracking
pixel,
all over.
But they used it to save data about the picture.
About the picture.
That's
and
wild.
Well, and it did it it could have done that in a way that the AI. But it chose to do so in a color spectrum we can see. And what was the explanation by the Google engineers for that? Was exactly, it's because AIs are programmed by humans, and humans tend to cheat, and they basically learn from us. So they basically learned that that's how you do it. And a simple AI that calculates like distances in a picture, it's not like something very complex. Figured out cheating is a good idea. So that should tell us all about what we are teaching, how much we know about what information we're giving out, right? And how it's received.
Least favorite quotes from common things that I would hear people say in the military. The reason it was my least favorite is because it came from people of authority, and they were saying it to their subordinates. But it was very common to say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And the idea was like, on the surface, yes, we're all very fair and nobody cheats. But when it comes down to competition, it was always, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And that was kind of like a warfare mindset too, like, okay, here's the tactics of war, but if you find the opportunity to get an advantage over your adversary, it ain't cheating, it's just war.
It's just war.
But they would apply that to tests, like written tests and things like that for advancement.
God.
And I'm just like, okay, guys.
So now you're
not helpful.
teaching stuff that. But again, it tells you something about humanity, because that's not like isolated to one specific group of people or job of people or industry no, it happens everywhere, to the point, again, computer programs that are supposed to learn from us, it's like the first thing they learn is like how to cheat.
It's like how to be a scumbag, like immediately.
Is that because they're built to optimize? Is it because they're programmed to optimize on the fly by learning whatever they can learn and just optimize the end result?
I think
pretty
so,
much.
Yeah. It's the same thing as like Shark. I think
that's the
name.
Shark, like Facebook AI.
I think it was. I'm not sure if the Facebook or Google AI they produced. Also, when they put that thing live, the hair of people,
right?
The hair of people in Zurich, where they have their main building. If you walked in front of the building, the static electricity had people's hair stand up. There was like a news article in my local newspaper about something going on at Google, because you had like a square, like two. I have to go to the door. Like 2 square feet were just static loaded. Nobody knew why.
That's wild. I remember reading something about, and this was a Facebook thing too. They were this is a decade ago, I think, but they were experimenting with some AI, and they had 2 machines like talking to each other. I say talking, sending messages over the network to each other. And I don't remember the details of this, but apparently it was inefficient. for the two computers to the two AIs to communicate that way, and they developed their own language that just sounded like static, or they would like, oh no, I know what it was. It was like a weird, incomprehensible. They would use like the word "and" 5 times in a row, but that would signal something to the other AI, and they would know what that meant. You know.
So
what I mean?
so they say like really
Yeah.
fast.
Oh yeah, totally. It was really.
So it's
fast.
almost like a Morse code. Like they're just listening for the dits and the. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So the two AIs developed their own language that was like not comprehensible to those who built it, and so it was a turn it off situation.
Just blow it up, like just
Yeah.
burn it, like throw it in the ocean.
They're talking about stuff we don't
So,
understand.
Yeah.
I want to say 2 final random things here before we go off onto wherever we're going from now, off of our tangent of the world being terrifying. Facebook, the AI for Facebook essentially. Actually, no, YouTube. Here's my favorite example. I'm pulling from different sources here.
Sure.
So, do you remember when, I can't remember if it was Netflix first or YouTube first, when autoplay popped up?
I know it's annoying, and I always have to
Okay.
turn it off to this day.
So here's the thing. Autoplay is billed as this thing like, it'll play you the next video that you want to see. It'll play you the next video you want to see. As soon as that became a thing, let's say Netflix did it first. I can't remember which one. Netflix does it first. YouTube sees, oh, we suddenly have a drop in our viewership because now that's keeping people engaged, right? So they implement it. So every time one of these things makes a change that's not good for people, the rest just follows suit. Because they have to. Because at the end of the day, it's a marketplace for your attention. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just how long they can keep you engaged in something. For instance, TikTok. When you open TikTok, there's no push button to start. Okay, it's just open TikTok, video plays. At that point, your brain is already like, I must now keep going. And it's
and the close button is not visible anywhere.
There's no
I had
off.
to use it for the project, and I had it for like a week, and that was one of the main reasons I killed that app instantly. Because how to close it, I had to basically lock my screen, make it up again, click the middle button, and then open all my open tabs and close it this way, because
it's a chore to get rid of. And
well, for me, there's for sure an exit button, but I wasn't able to find it, so it wasn't like on the front or anything. And it's like, and again, it plays one video after the other because it wants to keep you engaged, right?
And it knows if you looked at one video and this sounds like quite crazy people talk, but it's not. Like, it knows if you looked at a video 0.3 seconds longer, and let's say that video is just like, oh, the earth is flat. I love that example, but it's like, oh, the earth is flat. And then a week later, it's like they looked at that for 0.3 seconds later. Maybe they'll think the earth is flat again. And if they keep showing me stuff like that, and eventually I stare at that content for a long time, eventually I'm my sister-in-law and I think the earth is flat. I love her very much, but she does genuinely think the earth is flat.
The amount of incorrect assumptions that AIs have probably made on me is like, I look at stuff that I hate on purpose.
Good. Confuse it.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, no, just for my own interest, though. Because I'm like, let's take flat Earth, round Earth. I use this as an example on Den a lot, because with the layer setups and everything being its own DAO, basically, a sub-DAO, you can have flat Earth and round Earth coexist on the same platform. They're just 2 different forums, right? And within those forums, you have relative truth. And so I'm confused.
You have objective truth on the one side and fantasy on the other.
Fantasy on the other.
Yeah, and it's up to the person. And it's like, okay, if you're in the flat Earth layer, you think you have the objective truth, and the round Earth layer has the fantasy, and vice versa, right? And so even though I'm like baffled by people's insistence at flat Earth in the age of space travel and the age of air travel, even with an airplane, I was on the ocean for years in the Navy, like months with no land around anywhere, and it's fucking easy to see that it's round. You know what I mean?
Yep, I experienced that on cruise ship as well.
Yeah.
On the open sea, you can actually see and feel it, how the sky,
And if you look at, if you get some nice binoculars, you can see on the horizon, if there's another ship coming, you see the top of the mast, and then you see a little bit more of the mast. And then you see the top of the ship coming over the horizon. And then the ship comes over. It's because it's round, man. Anyway.
It's coming over a curve, a gradual curve, but it's still a goddamn curve.
But that doesn't mean that I don't read as much flat Earth stuff as I can possibly read because
it's amazing.
How?
Oh, yeah.
How is there so much? Like, why is this a thing that people go to? They have conventions
because an AI predicted it. Like seriously, the reason for that is because YouTube's AI, like 7 or 8 years ago, started just predicting millions and millions of times to people, flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth, and now we have a whole community of people who otherwise would never have actually had that concept as any more than like, oh, that might be a thing, but probably not. Who go to conventions about it.
Yep. But here's an interesting one. That's like the most quote unquote interesting, let's say, theory out there is, and it concerns us, that somebody claimed that blockchain and Bitcoin was invented by an AI. Why? Because it figured out that that's how you keep the apes improving the processing power rapidly. And
well, that's terrifying. Thanks.
Yeah. And now you look at like prices for computer chips and stuff like that. It's like
it's interesting.
Might be part of that problem.
Those are my favorite theories. My favorite
Satoshi
theories are the ones
is
that I can't just. If I can't flat out say there's no way that's true, I love it. I want to read more.
Oh yeah, God, that's the most fun.
It's like okay, it's not something I was like, oh my God, this is the truth, but it's like that's an interesting thought. And again, it's like it seemed to have worked because if your goal is to get more power, you need the apes.
Man, we're working on it.
I like the alien tech. Bitcoin is alien tech. Maybe
that's cool.
Maybe we're just a zoo in the universe, right? And they're just
that would be funny too. I wouldn't even mind. Again.
Seriously, I genuinely hope that in my lifetime, if we are as an alien petting zoo, essentially, they pop into existence for us and just go, "Hey, this has been a long-standing experiment. We're gonna blow you up now, but at least you know." I'm fine with that. Like, blow me up, but at least tell me what the hell I was here for. Like,
yes, we're too curious.
And did I score? Like, did I score decently? Like, what was my points at the end of the day?
What were my Yelp reviews like?
Was I a good denizen? Like, was I at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's an argument for religion there. I mean, that's basically the same thing you're talking about. Being judged at the end, knowing what's true, the revelation, you know.
Is money a religion?
So there's like basically whatever you... I don't know. I don't like the guy, but he had an interesting idea on like religion. It was Jordan Peterson talking about that shit. And so interesting enough, so to segue nicely from where we were to this too, like Google will also be like, oh, somebody you're near Googles this, we're going to send that to you as well. So that way you'll talk about it with that person. And you'll just also indoctrinate into that stuff. So that way, like, you both are helping each other promote this idea and search for whatever thing that you Googled or whatever crazy idea you had. So my dad likes Jordan Peterson, and I assume that's probably why it showed up on my shit. But he had an idea that was like, oh, like God is just whatever you have as like the supreme being, right? So if God is what you, if money is what you chase, and you think that's like the most important thing, then like money is your religion. Money is your God, right? If like morality and trying to do the right thing and virtue is your like goal in life, then that's your religion, right? If trying to please some father in the sky that magically made people from goop and wrote a book about it, that's your religion. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of whatever you place at like the pedestal of your existence and what you find most important. Because as people, there's like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs that go into us. And if some base thing isn't being met, such as like what we find important, purpose, existence, whatever, then nothing else is really going to make sense to us.
Incentive to live, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you just fix religion for me?
Me? I'm gonna be. I'm like, I don't know. I've like been into this stuff for a long time, and all the shit that we were just talking about. I know much more about what we were just talking about than we did like Bitcoin, blockchain, any of that other shit. It's just depressing.
It's terrifying.
It's just depressing. So I got my bottle of whiskey.
Morning whiskey.
But Flo, can you see where that is?
Sankt,
It's
oh,
fuzzy.
Sankt Moritzer, yes.
Oh, now it's clear. Single malt.
Yeah,
Got a
that's
handwritten batch number.
around 1.5 hours drive from me.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow, you're way up there then. That's awesome.
You must live somewhere absolutely beautiful. Side note, like just knowing the country a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's like a little bit special about my city specifically. But we have like the lakefront, and then it's a lake, so there is like land on the other side on the horizon, but it's completely flat,
Oh, that's cool.
right? With a mountain range on the left side, and according to some measurements for beauty in some sets, we are like on place 2 on the world.
Damn.
Nice.
And-
Okay, but who came up with the metrics for that measurement?
That's the other.
What
it's
AI
again,
made
it's
that
like
beauty
it's like again, you need the horizon needs to be rather flat, but like water is tricky, so you need a waterfront for the reflection, but not the horizon with water. And there are like 5 places on Earth that fit that. But yeah, it's some guy that made it up, right? So
Interesting.
Yeah.
We live in a swamp.
I still have
Where the fuck?
living here 26 years. It was 40, 26 around. I still catch myself, especially in summer, walking on the seafront and the lake goes down. That was good English. I'm walking on the lakefront and the sun goes down this way. And people stop, and I catch myself as well. You stop and look like, oh shit, because it's like all orange and pink and stuff like that for like 15 minutes or so.
Jeez.
And yeah, that's like really cool. But,
I was over in Switzerland in like December. Yeah, in like December, and it was fucking gorgeous. It was amazing. We didn't want to leave, and my wife kept trying to figure out how to get a job over there. But you have to like speak high German in order to be a physician, so it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, and or French or Italian. That's the weird part. We have 7 or 8 now, 8 million people living in the country. So you could fit the all people of Switzerland like into New York, and you still had room for other people. And we have 4 national languages.
Oh, cool! I didn't realize that.
I loved it. Everybody speaks English too, except
that's another thing.
But in Geneva, nobody wanted to speak as much English.
Oh, that's because they are in the French part,
Exactly.
and the French people they don't speak other language. I mean, I had the same
Oh, they
thing.
can a lot of times, but they won't.
They won't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had that when the first
I've had that
time
experience too, in France.
I arrived
Or
in
in-
Amsterdam. I walked out of the train and into the tourist information box, and there was like this older lady, maybe in her 50s, and I walked up to her and I was like, "Do you speak German?" And she looked at me dead eye and was like, "Yes, I do, but I won't." And it's like, "Oh, okay."
Damn.
Well, for us, I
French
always figured
people
it
are
was
similar.
God, that is some just cold shutdown right there.
Americans are stereotypically lazy, as a rule, how we're seen. At least
We try
when they're
so
not
hard not to be.
So I always assumed, like, whenever I would go someplace, and when I was in the Navy, I would pull in all over the place. We'd pull in for fuel or for food or whatever. So we'd pull in all over the place. So the places, like, we were talking about, on the ship, we would talk about, like, oh, if we were going to France or something, it was always, it was more difficult for us because we're too lazy to learn other languages. So we just, we're lucky that everybody speaks English. And I felt like we were judged because of that. It's like, I'm not going to speak English because, like, you're lucky you don't have to learn another language. You can get by with international travel by only speaking your birth language, one language, and that's lazy of you. So no, I'm not going to speak English. learn to speak it.
It makes me feel kind of like a bastard. Like if I was to do that, I feel like I would have to learn a little bit at least.
Yeah, I had that experience in South America. We were traveling and we met we met an American guy, and my buddy was traveling in Peru like half a year before that, so he was fluent in Spanish. Because again, as a Swiss person, if I go drive 1.5 hours in that direction, I have to speak another language. If I drive half an hour in that direction, I have to speak another language. And there are like 4 million people that speak my language. So chances that I go somewhere and there is somebody that actually understands what I'm saying is like zero, right? So for me, it's just normal that you need to learn whatever language there is. And this American guy was like so fascinated how easy it was for my Swiss friend to learn Spanish, because if somebody he heard him speak English, all they did was speak English to him. And he wanted to have people speak Spanish to him so he can learn something, right? But he was like, I catch myself doing the same thing. As soon as if I hear somebody speak English, I switch to English, right? And so it also is the others aren't that. So it's kind of everybody's fault.
My wife will sometimes forget that, like, especially if we're visiting Germany, she has the job of mental acrobatics where she's translating English for her mom and German for her husband.
Poor Gina.
You know what I mean? And so sometimes she'll just forget. She'll be talking and she'll forget what language she's talking in, and she just continues talking to someone in English or German, whichever was And yeah.
Oh, I mix them up a lot. I have that, especially. I say 80% of my speaking and thinking process happens in English because I'm on the internet all day long and I work crypto, right? So it's all English, but my actual life and everything happens in Swiss German. And it happened like since a year now. It happens that I know words in English, but I forget them in my own language, or I make sentences that are grammatically English, but I speak them out in German, or I mix two. And then I look at myself like, that sounded so stupid. So how did that happen? It's like,
when we went to Switzerland, my wife started learning German, and then we got to Switzerland. It's like, oh, it's Swiss German. It's not the same thing.
No.
And then so that was great. And then my mom is from Panama, like the country in South America, and we went to visit when I was like 13, 14, and I don't speak Spanish. I'm currently taking a Spanish class, and not enjoying it. We went down, and so my mom had to do the acrobatics of translating both ways, and they literally looked at my mom and was like, "Is he okay?" It's like, "What do you mean? Is he okay?" It's like, "Is he mentally okay?
So he doesn't speak
Spanish? They're like, is something wrong with him?
Is he all right?"
Yeah. And I still haven't gotten over that. I think that's just been my aversion to Spanish. I just don't ever want to speak it. As soon as I start dreaming in Spanish, I quit learning. I'm like, nope, this is too far. My Spanish, I've hit the pinnacle of Spanish. It's in my dreams. I'm done.
Good enough.
When really that's just 2 months of Duolingo. That's all it is.
Right. I took 1 year of high school Spanish in a one stoplight town in Florida. You know what I mean? Just because we're in Florida and that's a requirement. Take a foreign language, and the only foreign language offered was one Spanish class because I don't know. It's just where we were. So my experience with in Miami. There's a lot of Spanish, primarily Spanish speakers in Miami, and I'll try. I don't know Spanish, but I can thank people and stuff like that, and I'll try. Usually, what I learned was I got to look at the driver's dashboard, and if they're listening to the radio and it's a Spanish, if the interface, the UI, is in Spanish and not English,
that's like your telltale sign.
Yeah. So I learned that whenever I started talking. I landed at the airport in Miami for the conference a little while ago, and I got an Uber and I started talking to the driver, just because I talk to people. That's how I go about my day. And he's just like, he's just nodding and carrying along. And then I said something specific, and he was like, And then I started talking to him and asking him specific questions, and he just kept nodding and I was like, you don't speak English, do you? English? Yeah. English?
You don't speak English, do you?
Habla English? And he's like, no English.
Not a bit.
I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Gotcha.
But then other drivers would I would thank them afterward, gracias or whatever, and they would just be like, yeah, you're welcome. And they would brush me off thanks for trying, but I just don't care. I know English too.
That's
That's also Miami, man. I don't know. I hate that country.
The country of Miami.
It is. It's North Cuba. I don't care who you talk to.
North Cuba.
It's what it is. I can say that I lived there. That's how that works.
Oh my god.
That's great.
Speaking of pieces of shit, I shared something with you, Dave.
Oh, you got that up there. Is this part of your collection that you're minting?
Yeah, this is the new collection today.
Oh, the new collection.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic. Let's see what John's been working on. So, just to let you know,
I can pull up the old ones too if you want.
2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, we started teaching John about what an NFT is. And John is not a blockchain person. He's somebody that we're working with locally in Gainesville for some projects that's using Den, some of it. And I roped him into this weekly show because he's an amazing human, and I love having non-blockchain people to talk to.
Aw, John.
So through this learning experience, he has discovered that he too is an NFT artist. So here's what we come up with today. What do we got?
Oh, nice. Let me go.
Ah, that is a bag.
Oh my god.
That is a bag. You know, I used to draw those. Did everybody else used to draw those S things?
I haven't seen that S in so long.
Oh,
Holy shit! It was on everyone's folder.
Yeah,
folder and papers and everywhere.
It was wonderful for people that did not know how to draw, because you could literally just do a few straight lines and get the intersection right, and it's like, oh wow, that looks legit.
These were banned from High Springs Community School. Side note, the S, because they took away everything fun. Every time anybody liked anything, they took it away. So they thought that this was like some kind of a gang symbol, and they took it away. God, I loved growing up there.
You know what they did?
Oh my!
Growing up in High Springs, I'm so glad I came out of it the way I did, and I love that town dearly. It's so much fun there. But yeah, no, I'm glad I came out of it the way I did.
Gravity Crab grew up about 20 minutes from where I went to high school, and we had a very conservative Christian. I don't know what you call it, school board, principal.
Yeah,
people that ran the place. And
City.
they literally city, yeah.
Universe.
And they literally, I remember, what the hell is his name? He almost got sued over me. It was a lot of fun in hindsight. Was it Hatcher? It doesn't matter. Anyway, the principal goes into the library and removes all of the Harry Potter books, because he's like, Harry Potter is witchcraft.
Oh God, I remember that.
Is teaching. It was blasphemy. It was a blasphemy argument from
one of the
school.
great things about the internet: banning books that don't need to be banned.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, banning books, period, is like there was like a group of people that did that in a big fashion, and you kind of don't want to associate with that.
See East Germany.
That's
So you took the Harry Potter books.
Oh yeah, that's it. He had to put them back, but he
You had to put okay.
Yeah, he also banned me from wearing a pentagram, because
Hey, I remember that.
When I was like really into my like paganism and like really like occult stuff in high school for like a year, and so I wore a pentagram for protection. You know, nothing satanic, and then it became a religious like anti-Christian thing, and he like called me in the office and made me take off my thing, and anyway, it was like it's land of the free. So the USA, land of the free.
We got called. we had a situation happen. Did you go to Santa Fe or Fort White High?
I went to Fort White High. Yeah.
Okay, so I went to Santa Fe, right? And we were pretty much exactly the same, but slightly less aggressive. So at the time, myself and a group of other people were doing the same thing, the pagan stuff. I still enjoy a lot of that stuff. But
it was popular in the area for a while, and I still don't hate it.
So we did like a lot of the principles. So we had somebody come in the middle of the night, essentially, and kill a cow. And I don't know why. They killed a baby cow, and they took all of its blood, right?
Dude, that was a UFO. Come on.
I don't know. I'm spooked by it still. So they killed the cow, took all of its blood, cut some chunks of skin off of it. And I got to school that day, and they had rounded up every single person that did not have like a cross on, or had like a little pentagram on, or wasn't a pentagon, or it was not the standard known people. We were all in this big office room, and they asked us which one of us did it.
That happened to me in Ohio.
Simply because it was a religious thing. I actually had to go out and look at it and be like, this doesn't even make sense.
There wasn't, for me, there wasn't
let's
the cow
traumatize
involved.
a bunch of
Yeah.
high school kids.
It was
with,
horrible.
Out there.
yeah,
They
with a
took
dead
us
cow.
to the cow. They took us to the cow. They took us out to the cow. Me and my friend Joseph volunteered to go out and look at the cow and be like, look, I've read a bunch of books. Can I just tell you if this was people that might have been us or not? And I was like, no, why the hell would we take a cow tongue and some blood? Like, no. So and then we got looked at. We got looked at wrong for the whole rest of the time that people were like, they were like, oh, I'm a pagan or I'm a Wiccan or whatever. They got, they were very poorly
There was
looked at in school. It was great.
remember when the tragedy at Columbine High School happened and it made big news and then all the schools were freaking out about okay, is this going to happen to us or whatever? Well, I was in Ohio at the time for a couple of years, and I was really into military stuff.
Ohio.
Yeah, and I had a buddy of mine, Heebs, Mike Heberlin. We were in 8th grade, young kid, like 12 or something. And so we were just bored, and we would always like go camping, but we had like Alice packs and military equipment and BDUs, so we're always playing Army, and we're always playing like pretending like with tactics and playing video games where we learn military tactics. Being children, yes.
Enjoying yourselves, having fun.
That's like Boy Scouts private edition, but instead of going with a group of random,
you just with your buddy.
You were with your buddy. So
and so like we needed a backpack. We didn't go. We went to the Army Navy surplus store to get a backpack for school. So we had a not canvas, but whatever you call that material, Kevlar, on the backpack.
Oh God!
And so like it was just it was fun, whatever. It's a bag, it holds stuff. But no, freaking called into the office. 3 of us. I think Drew was the other guy's name. Called into the office like, hey, what's up? I see you guys with all this like Army stuff and playing guns and is there something we need to know? How's your home life? How's your home life? Stuff like that. And I was like, holy crap.
So, how's your home life?
The number of misinterpretations that I've been through, and not to carry on the like shit growing up through high school. That is a big topic in Florida right now, is like what schools are allowed to do and what they're allowed to say to people and children and stuff. But like I remember being really, really interested in science, and because I'm from an area where nobody cared about science or learning, I was one of the people that were suspicious because I'm like asking my biology teacher my chemistry teacher about where she gets her equipment. It's like, how can I buy some of this to play with at home? Like, where do you get the Bunsen burners and the
You're on like 10 different watch lists.
Oh yeah.
Like 20 years ago, you would have been like, no, not 20, goddamn. Like 30 or 40 years ago, you'd have been a kid that was like, oh, this person's really interested. Let's help him get set up.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. I mean, I can make just hydrogen out of this, and it bubbles up, and that's amazing. How do I do this at home? And so once again, like my grades are poor because I was bored and didn't care and didn't do homework. That's a punishment. You shouldn't have to by default do homework. That my grades were like C average, and now I'm asking about chemistry kits. And so this is right around the time that there's this meth epidemic going through like, the rural.
Your timing is
great. Right? So there's like, and to this day, it's more opiates than meth, but it's kind of both still. But it was just like, it was really, really getting to be a problem locally. And like, now here's this kid wanting to know how they get their hands on a bunch of legit scientific chemistry equipment. Yeah. Anyway, it ended up with my parents in a meeting and like a whole thing. And it's just like, fuck it, I'll stop learning, I guess.
Might as well just be dumb. Like that's the kind of environment. All jokes aside, now that we're going into just this like dystopian Orwellian shit show that we all kind of live in, our education is really bad. Like it really is bad here. Like it's not a joke. Like the whole world always makes a joke. Like look at how bad America's education is. It's fucking abysmal. Like you can't be a kid and have an enjoyment.
I've been to a couple of states is all in school, so from my experience in Florida, it's not bad.
Moral of the story is I'm homeschooling my kids.
Please do. Like but let them have friends. Like I know people that homeschool kids and then they get no social interaction and it's awful.
Have you met me?
My
kids are going to be very social, but I'm also going to be like making sure. I'm like, both my parents are teachers, and like my family are teachers and stuff like that. My like godmother was the principal of the school I went to, and my mom was the assistant principal. Yeah, for 12 years I went to this school. So like I know all the. It was a very unique experience, but like I know all the shit that goes on behind the scenes, and most teachers are garbage. Like I don't know. There's a lot of good teachers. There's also a lot of bad teachers, and like I'm always so scared that my kid is gonna get the bad teacher. Like I'm the person that like, nope, I'm gonna like interview the teachers, talk to them before, do my research. They're all getting a background check. Like it's 100% happening. Like because like having a good teacher, having a bad teacher can like really just change so much. Like if you think about it, some teachers spend more time with students than their parents do. And in a lot of cases, that's true. You know, like teachers are watching a student for 6 hours or whatever it is, and parents are spending a couple hours here and there with their kids if they're working, you know, late or whatever it is. Like, it's rough, you know, and like
I remember a couple of specific teachers, having a really positive influence on me. That's totally true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
there's good teachers out there.
I had a shitload of teachers because I kind of had tendency to form groups that weren't okay with the authority structure implemented, and that then got me sent from one to another place. But not the point. Not the point. But yeah, one of the last places I ended up with had like an older dude there, and you saw that this guy loved his job. I mean, he lived. For me, I was lucky. He lived close to where I lived, and at the point where I was in that class, I was like 17 or 18. So I was already going out partying and stuff, and coming home at like 3 a.m. And that you walk past his house, and there's like punk music playing out of his house, and it's like. That's because he's doing research all night to collect songs that fit each lesson you have.
Oh, wow.
So he can show you something and then get you into whatever we were doing and stuff like that. And then
okay. Gotcha.
History were like, we didn't talk much about the French Revolution and stuff like that. That was expected, was talked about before. We were talking about the student demonstration in France and stuff. And then he shows pictures of the young him with the Molotov cocktail in the hand and stuff like that. So he knows how to basically get the 17 or 16-year-old guys. And
he'd be an effective social engineer.
Yeah, and he was so fun to basically be around with and learn stuff. And I think a lot of stuff he talked about still stuck in my brain because he didn't came like that. These are the facts you need to know, but told me a story either about his life or something he made up or something he found in a song or whatever, and put the information in. He loved what he was doing, right?
Made it relatable.
Yeah.
So to me, like, so in the county in which the three of us live, we have the Florida pays it's like one of the lowest paying states for teachers in the country. Yeah, Florida pays their teachers the lowest. Alachua County, which is where we live, is the lowest paying county in the state of Florida for teachers.
God.
This is 100% true. Yeah. My dad worked in Marion County, which is like north of us.
It's also more expensive to live here than
because of how much more money he would make just being in the county next to us. How much more money he would make. Yeah, it's crazy. And like to me, like those are the teachers that like need, you know, they need 6-figure salaries. Those people like are the people that are changing lives, doing like whatever the Lord's work, whatever we want to call it. You know, right?
I relate things to national security issues at the end of the day. Sometimes, you know, and like education is a national security issue in 30 years.
Oh God, it is.
People are dangerous, especially in big masses. And again, basically the kids from now are the mental and physical elite of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So these are the guys. If the system we are having now keeps being, that will pay my pension funds and will take care of me and have to take care of the system where I can go to the hospital later and stuff like that. So I kind of want these to be competent people and not like idiots that can't find the door from their house or tie their own shoes and stuff like that. So that's like, I agree with you there. These people they all get adults at some point, and then we have to deal with them, and I kind of rather
What have
deal
we
with
created? And
What
John
we
talked about
make.
homeschooling, which I think is a great option. Homeschooling. I don't have any kids, so maybe I'm not qualified to give that opinion. But
I would not
you know what
create
I
a child
have?
in this
The
world.
problem I have with John homeschooling specifically is that you would be the art teacher, right? So we've had your artwork up on the screen for a minute, and I'm curious: is that a money bag or an earth sack?
It's a shitcoin bag.
Oh, okay.
It's
I guessed
actually
that.
clever. It's actually clever.
It's a shitcoin
Yeah.
bag because it's the money. It's like the money symbol on a bag of shit. But this is like the internet
shittiest
like, kind of money symbol.
there is. Yeah. It's like the tacky.
The tackiest one.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It has
These
color.
could actually be NFTs.
And the color scheme
Mhm.
hurts my eyes.
It hurts to look at physically. I feel sick now that I've stared at it for a while. It's perfect.
So when I made this, the idea was I did a previous one last time. I can share it really quick too, where I had all these different. I had like a collection.
It evokes an emotion. That's art.
Right.
It doesn't matter which
It's
one.
an emotion.
I had all these different ones, right?
Pain
And,
is the emotion.
And like it was cool because I had like a different, and they all have like different backgrounds.
Like that you took
but
John
when I
away
did it
while he
this
was trying
time,
to buy them.
Like so this is the one I did last time, and they all have different backgrounds, right? And I would just go through Paint and like do a different background for all of them, and just change like the colors. So there's a collection, right?
Yeah, it's a
But when I did it this time, where's it at? One more second.
I forgot his name was Mr. Give Me All the Change in Your Pockets.
Yeah, it was amazing. It came from just something random, and
Nor do I recall the context.
I didn't even know he was drawing in the background. It was just a joke, and then like 20 minutes later, he had this "Mr. Give Me All Your Change in Your Pockets" guy.
This one's less aggressive.
So I changed like the background color because I thought I could go through and change the color schemes easily, and then this is what happened, where like I couldn't just.
Oh, it's crispy on the edges.
Yeah. So if I want to change the
Yeah,
color
because
scheme, I
you're
have to,
using paint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what do you want to
it's
see?
like-
Go back
The
to
most
picture.
sophisticated.
It fits the whole
That-
scheme. I mean,
that's
the whole
a
thing.
collection like this needs to be painted in paint.
Mhm.
But I'm loving it. That's
I want an NFT of this entire shot, like including the paint window.
yeah.
Like just
That needs to
including
be
it.
part of it. Yeah.
I was hoping I
Holy
could
shit.
get my. I was hoping I could get my comic, but I'll have to share it next week, or I'll share it later. But it's awful. It's just crude and stupid. There's a very vague plot, I think, in the 6-panel
I
comic.
think.
Yeah, it's
I think there's a plot.
it's like a 5 or 6 panel comic, depending on how you interpret one of the panels. Yeah, and there's like very little plot. I will say that my wife is a very good artist, and my brother's like stuff is on the wall behind me, and he is an amazing artist. And my dad taught art for years, so I will not be teaching art.
You've got people that can teach
Problem
art.
solved.
Yeah.
I can edit video, I can create stupid graphics, but if you want like something artistic and not like me just manipulating stuff I find on the internet, because all of this is original. I didn't like go on the internet and be like, oh, let's
Get
pull like the
inspiration.
dollar, let's pull the money S sign. I made it, where I would normally just go on the internet and steal it. Didn't do that. So this is all original artwork. So when you pay for this, you're getting quality work.
Real quality art.
You can't get it anywhere else.
No, there's only going to be one of the shitcoin because I can't change the background.
Hey,
Like
go
that?
up to the original one real quick. To the scary original one.
I gotta reshare.
Scarcity is by
The scary
I
original.
love
one.
this conversation. It's like, I feel like, well, what does this represent?
This has become the most. This is the most fun Coffee with Dan episode we've ever
I
had.
can
By the way, I
share.
just want you to point out.
I can share it like this, so you have
Okay.
them next to each other.
Well, that'll work. I just wanted the first one.
Yeah, and I can like zoom in. Yeah, so that's the first one, and then I opened all the other ones too. I thought.
I just noticed we had somebody in the comments say there's so many mustaches today.
And my shirt says
I
head
thought that
stash.
as
Oh, that's
well.
JP12. Oh,
Head
JP12X.
stash is a mustache.
So yeah, I have all those, right? So that's that. Why isn't? Oh, yeah. So if you want like a little bit bigger, that's the big one. So these are the other ones I made last week, right? So I made that one. Then I gotta put this over here.
I love this visual onslaught of windows as well.
That's fantastic, John.
These are all made in Paint.
Oh God!
So it's high quality work.
This is the collection.
My
I
boy.
I have Photoshop on my computer. Didn't even think about using it.
I want to show you a real quick trick, John.
Oh, teach
I'm
him.
going to pull this down. This is a program that's a little bit like Photoshop.
I use that as well.
But check this out. Whenever you're, it's super easy to do the thing that you're talking about doing. If I can make this bigger. Bow. So if you literally go to colors and you go down to map and you go down to color exchange, you can go to the dropper, you can pick a color, and then you go to a different dropper and say, I want that to be red, right? Okay. And then you can change the thresholds, right? The threshold is like when it switches. So pull these up until it all switches. And you can change like a bunch of stuff.
So I know how to do that. I just have to put it over into Photoshop. But I think part of the charm is that it's done in Paint.
I like that it's crispy around the edges. It makes it better.
Yeah, I think part of the charm is that it's done in Paint. Also,
absolutely,
I think
absolutely. That makes so much.
Yeah.
I like what Dave said about the art should actually come with the UI.
The UI elements involved.
Yeah, that's extra value.
Has anyone seen Hot Dog Linux, by the way? They
No.
took a bunch of like vintage computer UIs, like Amiga OS and stuff like that, and just made it quickly switchable for your user interface. It was just a cool little project.
No, we do have a Linux layer that is in the running though.
Oh, I know. I desperately want it.
That's mine. I added that. So you should go vote for it.
Oh, I did. I've
Why is
voted
that,
many a
why is
time
that a
on
black
Linux.
screen?
I might be able to get my comic.
And
I can try.
Yeah, I just
I
found
like how we're coming back around to Den
the
on this,
comic
too.
strips I drew all myself without like a professional artist about being stupid and pointless in 6 panels. So I totally feel that part.
Wow, I wrote too
Okay.
much on this. So
John's
I have a
being
proposal
chill.
up.
My
Yeah, he's
protagonist.
going to look for something.
Holy proposal!
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't know. I must have wrote this in the morning. When I wake up in the morning,
I must have wrote this in the
my
morning.
mind and my hands are like, you know.
I have the same thing. The first 2 hours when I wake up are the most productive, and like the last 3 in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
But yeah, these are like by far the most productive hours I have.
Complete opposite. When I wake up in the morning, I need like 2 hours to even become a human.
I got an hour. I got about an hour. But after that hour,
I
Oh,
gotta
yeah, for me,
load
it's
up
like-
on coffee.
Yeah, it's like 3 minutes. My eyes go. I wake up, my eyes open, and I instantly realize I haven't drank anything for the last 8 hours. So I'm thirsty as fuck, and then I get out of bed, drink, and then I realize, oh, yeah, now I'm awake. And,
Now it's coffee time.
and then I make the mistake, look at my phone, and see like 500 different messages from people. Please do this. Please do that. My brain goes
That
like
would
2
be
hours.
overwhelming to me. I couldn't imagine seeing that.
I have a weird thing about like I can't make. Everybody's different, and everyone's brain's broken in different ways. Here's how mine is.
Oh yeah.
That period of time, maybe it's because I grew up with like by the time I was 10, I was making a website and GeoCities, and I just always was just tuned into a computer
GeoCities.
kind of thing. But in the morning, if I try to talk and compute with my brain verbally, I'm confused. I can't get my words out. I can't respond to questions. I can't whatever. But for whatever reason, if there's something like an email response waiting, or there's something I can write on Den, I'm sitting here and I'm on my phone, right? I'm laying back and I'm drinking coffee, which, thanks, Tina. My wife makes coffee for me because she knows I'm incapable in the morning to do anything. But I'm like 100 miles an hour, with my thumbs, and I'm typing, and it's like I don't have to look to type, so I just kind of say what I'm thinking with my fingers. And it's always like, how in the hell are you, like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you talk? You're obviously communicating and like very functionally, but what is wrong with your, why can't, that kind of thing.
I feel that totally. I totally feel that. I'm lucky that I work from home, and my girlfriend is a jewelry smith and artist, so she works mostly from home. And yeah, so I can like fall into my office and start working, but I have the same thing. I'm not talking to her the first 2 hours, but
Which is probably
I'm
lame.
answering emails and stuff, and she's like, "How?" But
Are you okay?
So even if I try to speak, my voice is crackling and everything for the first few hours in the morning. So I'm like, I sound like a dead, I don't know, mule or something. But my brain is. So
Yeah, I had
I
to
100%
explain.
understand that feeling. So.
Yeah,
It's like
I
you're
had
processing way too much in your brain that you can't actually get it out.
we when we first started living together, I had to make sure that she understood that it wasn't because I didn't want to talk to her. Or I'm not mad at you, no.
No, yeah.
It's I physically am incapable of doing so.
You're talking to 3 people at the same time. Why can't you talk to me? It's like, because you want to get on a computer, text me.
Yeah,
It'll be easier.
It's like, oh, God.
Good stuff, though. Good stuff.
I thought I could cheat and find it, but I can't.
Okay. Well, that's all right. We're running up against the end of the time we had prep today. Anyway, this has been a really good conversation, and I do appreciate it. So thanks. I'll go ahead and talk us out a little bit, I think, because we've definitely exhausted the agenda. The only thing was the LCP. So those will be created this week. And I would say, Flo, if you want to hop on Den, create an account, we only ask for an email address. And
I already did so.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
No,
cool.
I love the platform as well.
Yeah, if you haven't already, there's what I always tell people when they're first signing up is to swing by the introduce yourself layer, because everything you do requires these energy points, and they refill every day, but they refill up to a maximum of whatever your matter balance is, right? And that's how much you can interact every day. A good way to get some initial points is to introduce yourself here, and people tend to, like, this person's got 800 up, energy added to it. People like to see new users, so that's a good way to get an initial block of energy.
Oh, that sounds and people then know who I am and stuff like that. So yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Cool.
I haven't done that yet.
What's your username?
It should be Florian Pfeiffer on Kanaloa Network. I'm that one weird guy in crypto that doxes himself everywhere. The first thing he does. So.
All right, cool. That way, when we see it, we pop up. We know who you are. And we can find you. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
I'll answer one quick question that I forgot and skipped at the end here from Earth Dragon. In the spirit of mining layer, do you mine mostly ERC20 tokens? No, I mine. I'll answer this one. I mine mostly coins. The distinction I make between coins and tokens are a coin is its native coin on its own blockchain, where a token might be a token on a third party like Ethereum. All ERC20s, I'll call those tokens. Like Dragon, I mine Dragon. What else? I mine Dragon. I will be mining Flip as soon as Chain Flip is operational and I can be a validator on that network. And that's going to be an ERC20. And I mine Matter. I consider what I'm doing on Den to be mining. Now, it's human manual processes, but there is a rule set, and there is everything that you do. All the votes are a consensus mechanism, even the tags. If you're tagging thumbs up, thumbs down on a tag, you're weighing in consensus. So I mine Matter in that regard. And then if you consider staking mining, then whatever. I guess I would be mining time and lore as well. So those are all. Time is not a tokenized yet. We're talking about it. They're talking about it. But yeah, so those are some of the things that I mine. Mostly it is, right now it is Oxen, which is a fantastic network that incentivizes a onion routing network of hosts like Tor does, except you can do both TCP and UDP. So you can do things like streaming video over Tor with decent bandwidth. So I mine that. And then I mine Monero, but recently I've been mining Wildnero. It's a meme coin that's a fork of Monero. And they have done something weird where they figured out how to enforce solo mining. So you're actually not it's a proof of work CPU focused mining algorithm, but the twist on that one is there's no pool mining. They nuked all the pools because there was too many pools getting too much consensus on the network from one pool. So they make you sign each block with your private keys while solo mining, which removes the ability for pools to operate. So there's what I'm doing in mining, and I can write about more of that in the mining layer since it won later on.
We have a mining layer. That's right.
I'll talk about how I mine. I play a lot of RuneScape, and I go into the mines in RuneScape. There's usually like a ghoul or a ghost or a goblin.
Just some piece of shit there that wants to ruin your day.
I kill them with my +4 sword, and then I take whatever gems, rubies, coins that drop, and then I trade those in for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Respectively.
I play a lot of RuneScape, if you can tell. I
don't know if that's how that works. I did play a lot of RuneScape, unfortunately.
I never touched this stuff.
It was a blast.
I just saw WoW was coming out with another expansion.
I just saw that too. Yeah.
I don't know why.
What is going on
in the gaming layer? Yeah, I saw that.
I was addicted. I loved that game so much, and then realized that I wasn't going outside for like a year, and then I discovered booze and.
Wait, dragons? It's WoW Skyrim?
What?
WoW Room?
What are you talking about? This is Blizzard.
Yeah, I know, but there's dragons in it, so I just associate.
Yeah, so it's like
there was dragons in WoW, like in the first iteration.
You had flying mounts at least.
Only game I ever played in that like extent was the Lord of the Star Wars Old Republic.
That's
the multiplayer game. Yeah, I still have like that's what's so funny. My class was like hated in PvP because it's a damage dealer melee. And you have range damage dealer that will kill you before you even close to them. So if you are playing my class, you will be mostly dying. So nobody plays my class in PvP, right? And there was huge like tournament, and the top 2, I think, winners of each class got a special armory, like a set that you could only get in that year for that specific class in that specific tournament. And we farmed that with our league because we were like 25 people training 5 hours a week, and that was just a part of what we did, and that led to us mostly playing against each other, right? Because we filled so many matches, and then it was easy for me to play that chart because it was fun anyways, but we were playing ranked. Long story short, I won like with first place because there were like 20 people in the whole thing, right? So it's totally screwed, but my like 10-year-old account still has one of the most valuable items there ever were because they couldn't even print enough because there weren't enough players, right? So it's like just awesome. Me and another guy.
That's a prime example of I don't want to spend like a bunch of time talking about gaming because we've been in here 2 hours now. I just realized.
Yeah, I saw that.
But like that's exactly the kind of thing that should be tokenized as an NFT, is that item, so that you can take it out of the game and potentially bring it into maybe a second version of that game or something like that. Within the same company, or maybe a whole different game that somebody builds around that token. Who knows? So like the ability to this is where I don't understand the pushback from gamers on NFTs, is because there's all this effort and money and time put into playing this game and being productive and getting special stuff, but you don't own any of it. As soon as you're done with the game, you're done with all that. You just spent all that money, and so it would be cool if you could take those items out of the game and even just put them up. People already do it on eBay, but put them up on a marketplace where new players of the game can either buy it from the game in-game store at the in-game marketplace or earn it in-game, or if they want, they can just buy it from you instead of the company. So it creates a secondary market. that stuff's cool. I don't see why it's a bad thing. But
Yeah, I
a lot of
don't
gamers are against
understand that
NFTs.
as well. I think maybe the loot boxes kind of were an issue there in the beginning.
Gotcha. As far as like the motive, like I do now. I know for sure that like microtransactions and like making your customers pay more for a game they already bought, and not having the game released, or finished on when you buy it, like Cyberpunk kind of thing. They got pushed into releasing it before they were ready, and that was more of a bean counter decision, I think.
I mean,
Yeah,
Steam started making these alpha releases a thing like I think 5, 6, 7 years ago, which was one of the reasons I stopped gaming on a regular basis, because 90% of my stuff was alpha releases that I paid like $20, $25 for it, but I have a monster of a PC and I was playing with like 15 frames or something like that, because these games were just like 10% done, and then it takes years.
They never finish
So
them.
either they never finish them, or it takes
years.
years for them to finish. And then I already played 2,000 hours, and I'm
Yeah.
done with the content. It's like, yeah, okay, now
Star
the game will
Citizen.
be finished. Yeah, I was a victim to that in Ark Survival
Oh,
Evolved.
God.
Okay.
So I played like 2,000 hours of Ark, and then they had the final release, and I made videos and stuff like that about it. So I had to be up with the new release content for like a
right.
year and a half and stuff, like, yeah, because if something
Right.
new drops, you need to be out right away,
As
right?
soon as it lands, you got to learn what it's about, play with it, practice it, and then do a video about it.
Do a video about it and make a tutorial or whatever. And I was managing a server on the side, so I was like spending thousands of hours in this, and I liked the game, but by the time the finished product was ready, I already wasted
You're done
2,000
with
hours.
it.
Yeah, it's like,
You
okay,
went
Why
play the
even
hell
keep
out of it,
playing
yeah.
it?
so now you don't have anything to show me, and I kind of cannot enjoy the final product. I might have enjoyed even more, but
I've done that to myself before enough times to where I've adopted a personal policy with video games lately, to where if I'm really into it, especially if I like the studio and the concept and all that, I'll buy it, even early access. And then if it releases, when it comes out, I'll play it. I'll play the release, and if it's terrible, I'll put it away for a year. I won't touch it for a year. But this is what I did with Cyberpunk. I played it. It was so like that I just couldn't enjoy it. It was just so. And I bought a whole new computer. I had to buy a pre-built just to get a 3080, because I couldn't get a 3080 because of miners like myself. I don't GPU mine, so I was pissed at the GPU miners. I was like, damn it. But I got all of this, and still, like you were saying, Cyberpunk 2077, I've been waiting on this for 7 years, or whatever it was.
16 frames.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, holy garbage, guys. Like, it was so bad you had to take it down off the PlayStation Store. It won't run on the PS4. Give me a break. But I made the decision to not ruin it for myself, because I've ruined games for myself that way. And so I put it down. I came back a year later, started playing it again. Honestly, it's great. It's awesome. I love it. I love the AIs in the game. I love the, like all of the networking and hacking other humans, cyber mods and things
the
like
whole
that.
concept, right?
Yeah, the
I think-
storytelling is rich. The and very adult. It's wild. It's good.
The Keanu is Reeves.
The Keanu is Reeves. Yeah. So anyway,
I had the
video
polar
game.
opposite experience. Real quick before I leave, because I gotta
sure.
go. I had the polar opposite experience recently with a game. So I absolutely love the Elite series. They came out on the BBC Micro in the 1980s, and it did vector graphics on things that shouldn't have done graphics, and it was a little space trader game, and it was fun, right? So they made Elite, and then Frontier Elite, which was in like the 99, and I think 2001 was Elite 3, and that was the end of it. So when Kickstarter became a thing, the company behind it made Elite Dangerous, which is this new version of it that's got a huge simulated universe, and it's got a bunch of politics.
Like I was talking about, I bought a copy of that. I didn't know it had history, though.
I love Elite Dangerous. I bought it when it was in beta. I paid more money than I should have for it. I bought the expansions when they came out and sunk a bunch of time into it. Recently, because I'm pulling out of my brain being in a weird spot for a while, I've been able to play some games again. So I bought Odyssey, their new expansion where you can get out of the ship. And by new, I mean like a year later. I was like, oh, you can get out and do some cool stuff. And they broke the whole goddamn game with it. You get out of the ship and you got like, if you're on a planet, I get on average 24 to 30 frames a second.
Just by not being in your ship?
Because it's just a cluster somehow of programming. You can drop settings to like zero, like nothing, and it still doesn't have any effect. I ran it in 800 by 600 resolution to see what would happen, and it had almost no effect. So they broke the whole game.
Yeah.
And so far, the only thing they've done to fix it is add microtransactions. So that's great.
Oh.
So
sorry.
keep flying. There's
I'm
lesson for Elite.
just keep flying. Yeah.
Keep flying.
That's what I've been doing.
I've been playing No Man's Sky again lately.
I was going to ask you if the new expansion was good stuff.
Yeah. That game's become way more than they promised. The big letdown and the big failure, the big, oh, you lied to me. All that was true.
Pissed.
Yeah, sure. Be pissed because there was literal lies told. But I will say that everything that was promised has been implemented and more. So that's cool.
I acquired you sent me the thing about getting a solar ship. I wanted to ask you if this happened to you. So I've been playing a little bit of it too, because you sent me the solar ship thing, and I was like, all right, now I want one. I started looking in my inventory, and for some reason, I had items that when I sold them, netted me like 10 million credits.
Yep. So this is because you have items. This is items from. I'm a day one player on that game. That's happening.
Yeah, I am too.
And so you have items that don't exist anymore.
Oh, well, I don't anymore.
Well, this could be. Well, no, exactly. They didn't exist after an update. And so, like, some of your modifications, some of your upgrades, some of your stuff that you had spent time and money on to improve your suit or your ship were removed from the game.
So you're just like, here's a shitload of cash?
In place of it, you get a tradable item that you can sell and get cash to get whatever the new thing that they came up with to replace it, to get whatever you want.
So I can stop blowing up carriers believing that I'm going to acquire more of those items because it's just coincidental. Okay, gotcha. Anyways, though, because of that random thing, some guy flew in with a perfectly like super high class solar ship and I bought it.
Yeah, those are cool.
They're fucking awesome.
Yeah, those are in the new outlaw, the new outlaw systems, So what they did lately, and this will be, I guess, I promise this will be the last thing we talk about gaming because we keep saying we're going to stop.
I've got to go. But
what they added was
I have a job.
Way better space flight and battles, way harder battles against the Sentinels and against the space pirates.
I noticed that.
And if you want to be a space pirate, you can now get a counterfeit passport, so that the reputation is not put on you, but on this passport. So you can get rid of it.
What?
Yeah. So
okay.
Anyway,
you want to play No Man's Sky later?
Potentially.
Okay, cool. Well, on that, to everybody in the call and everybody who happens to be watching, anybody wants to play No Man's Sky later, hit us up. Like I'm down.
I gotta change my gamer tag.
I'll hit you up. Sounds like fun.
I like you, by the way. You come back whenever you want. You were fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks,
man.
every week. I had a lot of fun.
Jokes aside, I think the comic is really cool. I'm actually going to sit down and read through it. I skimmed through it before because, like I said, I was in a weird place for a little bit, but artwork's awesome, and it was fun talking to you this morning.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. Anything else you want to plug before we?
Yeah, if I do one again,
sure.
we're on the market for a year now, but our product launched on testnet on Monday. So you are now able to test and generate your own tokens with a few clicks. And to celebrate the whole thing, again, these are diamond tokens we are generating. And my girlfriend is a jewelry smith, and she will lead me through the process. So we have a little competition going on. That if you test the product and if you find bugs, you can report them. And one of the people that reports a bug that they find will get a silver coin I'm making implemented with a real diamond.
Oh, cool.
So
dope.
You can win a diamond token. And that's the big thing we are doing at the moment. And for the next 30 days, you basically can just hit us up if you need like test corner and try it out. And as many people try it out, try to break it. That's the point.
Try to break it.
Yeah,
and
now it's a test net. It's like now you can. These are our NFTs that give you like voting rights or access to rewards and stuff like that.
Are these
this website is awesome.
network? Technically, on your network, do you require validator nodes? Do you need unmanaged anonymous people running nodes, or how does that work?
Not at the moment. We will be. We are a token generator, so going multi-chain and having the options to be on many places and maybe run our own network at some point is for sure medium or long-term goals of the project. But
well, if you need any help with that, man, we can link up offline about technical stuff, because that's a lot. That aligns with a lot of what we're doing with Den and with Dragon Chain too.
I
Because
thought
on
so as well.
Den,
That's why I like
yeah,
the
we
project
can.
so much. It's,
Right now, we're using Ethereum exclusively, but the same tokens that are ERC20s, it would be relatively straightforward to enable exporting those out to Solana, to Avalanche, to whatever
and
you want from the same token,
we
the same like on DIN kind of thing. So it
yeah,
could be
and
anywhere.
we have the option with, again, that's not a partner of ours working on that, and it will be one of the first extra modules we're implementing. But you will be able to send the Kana generated tokens through the ElkNet, giving you the option to deploy your token, the same token, on multiple chains.
Not a wrap token, but like the
No,
same thing.
not the wrap token, or not like I see a lot of farming projects do like Kana B for Kana BNB and Kana A for AWACS and stuff like that. But these are all separate tokens and stuff.
That's what Flux does too for their cross chain. Is they have like the Solana Flux and the Ethereum Flux and the Flux Flux.
And we kind of solve that solution again for the project managers and stuff like that.
That's fantastic, because that was always here I go again wasting time, but that was always a workaround. Was like that was how I saw it.
We have the same problem here.
And then like whenever Chainflip comes out, they're one of the first that I've seen doing a DEX where it's on a privacy network. Or no, it's on Ethereum. Anyway, the DEX is doing direct wallet-to-wallet exchanges without wrap tokens, so you can go from like Bitcoin or Ethereum and swap directly for Monero, for example. And there's no wrap tokens, and you can even use the wallet in your exchange account to send and receive from. You just give it like, it says, okay, send me this many tokens, and you will receive that in this other wallet. So all this unwrapped native, stuff is coming around really quickly, and I am wondering how much it's going to obsolete, because we're in such an iterative environment with the whole industry, where it's like every week or every month something gets obsolete.
Something new is.
Yeah. So cool. All right, go check out Kanaloa Network. Kanaloa. I like that because it rhymes with cannabis.
And if you need help with like any of the art stuff, let me know.
Yeah.
As you can see, he's a fantastic artist.
I can jump in there.
I saw your work. That sounds
anytime.
Good.
I got a comic you can throw up there too with your own. It's pretty solid. So
oh, sounds good. Yeah, that's another little thing we are doing on the side. The artist for my book has become a dear friend, and he did all the artwork for our Planet Monsters and stuff like that. And we have like 5 or 6 pages already out that basically tell the story behind the team of Kana, and we try to pack some updates and stuff like that. It's a fictional story. Again, it's basically a group of people fighting against space monsters in planet size, so it's not real. But we tried. It's a way to entertain the community, and you can get these in NFTs for like $1 or something. So
cool.
And the artwork is again by him. So I'm
going to dig into that, because I actually didn't know about Kanaloa at all until last week on World Blockchain, whenever I met you over there. So I've got a lot to dig into, and especially with all the artwork involved, that's fantastic. I love that stuff. So all right, let's get out of here. We all got stuff to do. Thanks again for joining us, Flo. You're invited anytime you want. And that goes out to anybody interested too. On these posts, there's a link at the top of them that'll allow you to join the call. So that's kind of an open invitation. And I guess the last thing that I'll say is go create something. It doesn't have to be good; just make it interesting.
It doesn't have to be good; just make it.
The good part can come later,
John.
Right? If it's interesting, you can work with interesting and make it better.
And make it better, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like that.
And speaking of NFTs, we're going to take us out with Into the Dragon, which is a song written and produced by Y'all Weird, one of our denizens on Den.social, and it is also an NFT. It's been purchased already. It's a one of one. But here's part of that song on a Den ad. You guys have a good day, and I'll catch up with you later. I'm going to kick it with John a little bit after the show. Flo, if you wanted to hang out for a minute.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Talk to him about some stuff we're working on locally and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I have to get some of that artwork.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna put it up soon. Don't worry about it. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, check out the art layer for the artwork. All right, bye, y'all. Have a good one. See you next time.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.